Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are painting Shipwreck. So this is from my book. If you want the outline, it's in my book. You can buy it on Amazon. Links will be below. Now we're just going to start with the sky, and we're just doing a very soft ultramarine blue for the sky. And remember, watercolor dries lighter than what it is. So if you paint it a bit dark, it will dry lighter than what you see. So just using my brush to lift up some of that color again and create some soft clouds in the sky. I'm also adding just a tiny bit of Payne's Grey, just a very light mixture, and it just adds some shadows into your sky. Now for the sand, I'm basically using yellow ochre. So just paint it with water first and then go in with your yellow ochre. Now you want to do sort of a line on your beach here where your beach and the sand, where your water and the sand will meet. And then I'm also using a little bit of warm sepia just to create some shadows into my sand. While it's still wet, it's really nice to drop in these colors so that it can soften and blend. Now let's wet this area again where the ocean is, as it's dried up a little bit already. So I've kept that space white and I'm just re-wetting it again. Putting in some ultramarine blue. But I do want to keep a white space in there. So just be mindful, keep that white space. You can add a little bit of forest green right at the left-hand side as well, just to give the idea of depth in your water. And then I'm wetting a section of my beach as well, which will form part of where your water is also. You'll see once we start putting in the shadows what it will look like. So just dropping in some of the ultramarine blue here as well. Now I'm starting with my shadows for my ocean. So I'm just using yellow ochre again and I'm creating some shadows. But I'm also taking my brush out, as you can see, because it gives that effect of water going over the beach once it's dry. If you look at the finished image in the book, you'll see that it sort of gives the idea of water on the beach. And then you have that shadow of the wave coming in. And then I'm doing the same for my line, my beach coming in over here. And you can add as many of these or as few as you'd like. So for this one, I did yellow ochre, but now I'm adding a little bit of warm sepia just to give a bit of a darker shadow. You can also use Payne's Grey for this. And I'm just blending that color out. Just a little bit of water on your brush and blend it out. Now I'm adding another one and I'm just going in with ultramarine blue. As I said, you can also use yellow ochre here and just blend it. Be mindful to keep that bit white that you left so that you don't paint over all the white that you've got. Now just adding another wave there. As you can see, I did one more layer of paint and just made it a little bit darker, going in with a bit of Payne's Grey for the shadow as well. And blend it into your wave. Now let's add some texture and shadows into the sand. So with a larger brush, you can just re-wet the area again. And I'm adding a little bit more of the yellow ochre with a bit more of a dry brush technique. So just a little bit of paint on the tip of my brush and I'm just going over this. And as you can see, I'm also adding a bit of that warm sepia just to add some shadows into my sand. And again, remember it will dry lighter than what you painted. So continue working it until you are happy. Now let's start with the boat or the ship, at least your shipwreck. So I'm going to go in first with Payne's Grey. Now you can paint this any color you'd like. I'm mainly going to use Payne's Grey, warm sepia and burnt sienna for this part of my ship. And I'm first putting just those darker areas down with the Payne's Grey, and then I'm going to go in with my lighter areas, trying to also keep some white highlights in it as well. So just very lightly, light mixtures, you're going to paint this, dropping in some different colors into your paint so that it gives a bit more of texture to your painting as well. So this top part, I'm just adding in a very light mixture of the warm sepia, and then I'm going to go in with Payne's Grey and make it nice and dark. Okay, let's move on to the mountain. So the mountain in the back, I'm first painting it with water, but as you can see, my water has become a bit of a more Payne's Grey color. So I'm just painting it with water first, and then I'm going to drop in basically Payne's Grey and warm sepia. Don't need any other colors, only those two. This is basically our last thing that we are doing, just this mountain. You don't want it to be just a flat color, that's why I drop in some of the warm sepia as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you for following along with me. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. And the book is in the description below if you don't have it yet.